I still remember the sound of the rain hitting the windows that night, but it wasn't louder than my father's voice. "Ethan, I've had enough of your excuses," he shouted, his fist slamming against the dining table. "You're 24 years old, yet you bring nothing but shame to this family." My throat tightened. "Dad, I'm trying. I've been applying everywhere. I've been working. Working?" My younger brother Daniel cut me off with a sneer. "If you call odd jobs and pocket change work, then sure, you're pathetic." I clenched my fists under the table. "At least I'm trying to build something real. I don't want to live off handouts." "Real?" Daniel laughed, leaning back in his chair. "Dreams don't pay bills, money does, and you don't have any." My eyes darted to my mother. "Mom, say something. Please. You know I'm not worthless." She looked away, her lips trembling, but no words came. That silence was worse than Daniel's laughter. "Ethan," my father said coldly, "I've given you enough chances. While your brother has made this family proud, you've only dragged us down. You're nothing but a disappointment." My chest ached. "So that's it? You'd rather believe I'm nothing just because I don't have money yet?" Daniel smirked. "Not yet, Ethan. You'll never have it." "Shut up!" My voice cracked as I glared at him. "You've always wanted me gone, haven't you? You love watching me fail." Daniel's smile widened. "I don't need to want it. You do it all by yourself." "Enough," my father growled. He rose to his feet, towering over me. "You're not my son anymore. Pack your things and get out of this house tonight." I stared at him in disbelief. "You're disowning me? Just like that? After everything I've tried?" "You've tried nothing," he snapped. "You waste time, you waste money, you waste air. A son like you is a curse." His words pierced deeper than knives. I turned to my mother one last time. "Mom, please stop him. Tell me I still belong here." Tears welled in her eyes, but she lowered her head. "Your father has spoken. Two can't do anything." My breath caught. That was her answer. Daniel leaned forward, his tone mocking. "Don't take it so personally, brother. You just don't belong with people who succeed." I shoved my chair back, my body shaking. "You'll regret this, all of you. One day when I rise, you'll regret ever throwing me away." Daniel laughed again. "Rise? You can't even crawl." I stormed out of the dining room, my ears ringing. My footsteps echoed in the hall, each one heavier than the last. In my room, I grabbed the only things I owned: a torn backpack, a few clothes, and the notebook where I scribbled ideas no one cared about. As I stuffed the bag, I heard Daniel outside, the door. "Need help packing, brother? Or do you want me to carry you out too?" I swung the door open. "Get out of my way." He grinned. "Don't worry. I'll take care of this family in your absence. Someone has to be the real son." "You're not a son," I spat. "You're a snake." His smirk faltered for a split second, but then he chuckled. "Snakes still survive longer than fools." I shoved past him, bag slung over my shoulder. When I reached the front door, my father stood there with his arms crossed. "Leave now, and don't you dare come back until you're worth something." My voice shook with anger. If worth is only measured by money, then maybe this family was never worth me. His eyes narrowed. "Get out!" I stepped outside. The rain poured down, soaking me instantly. Behind me, the door slammed shut with finality. I stood in the storm, my breath ragged, my heart pounding. The cold water mixed with the heat of my rage. For a long moment, I couldn't move. My mind screamed, "This can't be real! They can't just throw me away." But the echo of Daniel's laughter from inside told me they already had. I staggered toward the street, gripping my bag tightly. My shoes splashed in puddles, my clothes clung to me, but the worst weight was the hollow ache in my chest. I whispered into the night, "I'll make them see. I'll make them all see." My voice was swallowed by thunder, but I meant every word. The rain fell harder, blurring the world around me, yet my vision was clear. I was no longer their son. I was a burden they discarded. But deep inside, a flame sparked in the darkness. And I swore, as lightning split the sky, that someday that flame would burn bright enough to blind them all. The cold pavement was harder than I imagined, and the night air cut through me like knives. I wrapped my thin jacket tighter, but it did nothing. My stomach growled loud enough for me to curse at it. "Shut up," I muttered to myself. "You'll get food somehow." A man lying on the next bench stirred. His hair was matted, his beard long. He looked at me with tired eyes. "First night out here?" I swallowed. "Is it that obvious?" He chuckled, a dry, broken sound. "You've still got hope in your voice. That fades after a while." I sat up. "What's your name?" "George. Been here longer than I'd like." "And you?" "Ethan." My throat tightened as I spoke my own name. It felt small, weak. George pointed at the empty street. "Out here, nobody cares who you are. Only thing that matters is if you've got cash. You don't, you starve." My lips pressed into a thin line. "I'll find work, something. I'm not staying here." His laugh carried no joy. "That's what I said. But the world doesn't care about your pride." I didn't answer. I couldn't. The next morning, I dragged myself to a small cafe, hoping for a chance. The owner, a stout man wiping glasses, eyed me. "Excuse me," I said, forcing a smile. "Do you need help? Washing dishes, cleaning, anything?" He frowned. "You looking for charity?" "No, I'll work, I just need..." He cut me off with a wave. "Come back when you don't look like you'll collapse in my kitchen." Stepped out, the door slamming behind me. My chest burned with shame. On the corner, I spotted Mark, an old friend. Relief surged through me. "Mark! Hey, it's me!" He turned, surprised. "Ethan? Wow, you look..." His words trailed off. "Rough?" "Yeah. Listen, I just need a place to stay for a few days. I'll figure everything out soon." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Man, that's tough. But I don't think I can help." I stared at him. "What do you mean? We've been friends for years." "Yeah, but my girlfriend's not cool with strangers crashing. You get it, right?" "Strangers?" My voice cracked. "I'm not a stranger, Mark. I was at your birthday last month." He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. "Things change. Sorry, man. Good luck." And just like that, he walked away. I wanted to scream, but the words stayed stuck in my throat. That night, back on the bench, George looked at me knowingly. "Lost a friend today, huh?" "He wasn't a friend," I muttered. "Not anymore." George leaned closer. "Out here, you'll learn fast. People vanish when you've got nothing. Money's the only language anyone speaks." I stared at the dark sky. Maybe I really am worthless. He shook his head. "Not worthless, just broke. There's a difference. But until you've got something to offer, you're invisible. Invisible." The word cut deep. The following days blurred into one endless cycle. Rejections, cold nights, and gnawing hunger. I begged for small jobs, but no one wanted to risk hiring someone who looked like a ghost. By the third day, I found myself outside a bakery, staring at loaves behind glass. My stomach twisted. The owner stepped out, eyeing me. "You planning to buy something or just breathe on my window?" I stammered. I don't have enough, but maybe I can clean for a slice." He shook his head. "I don't run a charity." I lowered my eyes, muttered a thank you, and walked away. Later, George found me curled up in the alley. "You'll kill yourself. Starving like that. Sometimes you gotta swallow your pride," I whispered. "All I've got left is pride." He sighed. "Then you'll lose that too." His words echoed in me, sharp and merciless. As the rain began to fall again, I hugged my bag close. Every drop reminded me of the night my family shut the door on me. Their voices haunted me, telling me I was useless, a burden, nothing. I clenched my fists. If life gives me one more chance, just one, I'll never beg again. I'll never crawl. The vow slipped from my lips like a prayer, swallowed by the storm. I didn't know if the world was listening, but I swore that if I ever rose, again, nothing, not my family, not false friends, not even fate, would drag me back into the dirt. I shivered under the broken street lamp, my breath a pale mist. Not tonight, I whispered to myself, clutching my chest as another wave of pain tore through me. My knees buckled and I fell hard against the pavement. Somebody help. I rasped, though I knew no one would answer. The streets were empty, as they always were when I needed someone most. My hands trembled as I pressed them to my lips, blood spilling between my fingers. So this is it? This is how I end? My voice cracked, a bitter laugh escaping me. Worthless, always worthless, I muttered, echoing my father's words. They'll never even know where I died. A faint whisper echoed in my mind, my own voice, cruel and mocking. What did you expect? You begged, you crawled, and still, you were nothing. I just wanted one more chance, I whispered into the darkness. One chance to prove them wrong. My vision blurred, the world fading into black. For a moment, silence embraced me. I thought it was the end. But then, wake up! A sharp voice rang inside my head. My eyes shot open. Light seared my vision, and I gasped. I was lying in my old bedroom, the cracked ceiling, the peeling paint. It was exactly how it had been 5 years ago. No, this can't be real. My voice trembled as I sat up. My hands were steady, warm, alive. I died. The door creaked open. Why are you shouting? It was my younger brother, his familiar smirk already carved on his face. I stared at him, my pulse racing. You're here. The same room, the same voice. He frowned. What's wrong with you? Did you hit your head? I forced a shaky laugh. No, nothing's wrong. But inside my thoughts thundered. This is real. I'm back. Footsteps echoed in the hall. My father's voice roared, "Why are you making noise so late? Can't you do one thing right?" The words stabbed, but this time I didn't flinch. I swallowed hard, steadying myself. I heard you, Father, I said, my tone calm. The door slammed open. His eyes narrowed on me. Don't talk back. Useless. Boy, I met his glare. I'm not useless. My voice didn't shake, though my hands clenched under the blanket. Not anymore. He barked a laugh. Oh? Since when did you grow a spine? I leaned forward. Since I learned what betrayal feels like, and I won't crawl again. He blinked, startled by the steel in my tone. Watch yourself, he growled, then stormed off down the hall. My brother snorted. Acting tough now? You'll be thrown out sooner than before. I smirked at him, something I had never dared before. We'll see. He hesitated, his smirk faltering. What's gotten into you? Call it a second chance, I said, softly. When he left, silence filled the room. I touched the desk beside me, tracing the scratches I remembered making years ago. 5 years back exactly, I whispered to myself. This is it. The life I lost has returned to me. The same family, the same house, but I'm not the same person anymore. My heart pounded with something I hadn't felt in years. Determination. This time I'll fight. This time I'll win. The cold memory of my death flashed again. Blood, darkness, despair. I clenched my fists. Never again. A faint laugh escaped me, half bitter, half triumphant. They think I'm still the same fool who begged for their approval, but they have no idea what I've seen. I stood and looked out the window. The night sky was calm, unaware of the storm inside me. If fate really gave me this chance, I'll carve my own path. No begging, no crawling. I pressed my palm against the cold glass. I swear I will rise. I sat at the dinner table, the same cracked wooden surface where I had eaten countless meals. My father glared at me as if my very existence soured the food. "You're still useless," he muttered, stabbing his spoon into the rice. "A man. Your age should already be earning. Look at your brother. At least he has potential." I kept my head down, forcing a faint smile. "You're right, father. I'll try harder." "Try?" My younger brother scoffed, leaning back smugly. "That's all you ever do, try and fail. You should just stop pretending." I clenched my fist under the table but let out a soft chuckle. "Maybe you're right." My mother sighed, eyes cold. "Don't waste your father's patience. If you can't contribute, stay out of the way." "Yes, mother," I replied quietly. On the surface, I sounded obedient, but inside I was laughing. Every insult, every sneer, they were seeds of fuel for the fire I had already lit. After dinner, my brother cornered me in the hallway. "Do you enjoy being a parasite? Honestly, it must be nice, sleeping under this roof for free while the rest of us carry the weight." I leaned against the wall, meeting his arrogant smirk with calm eyes. "If that's what you think, then yes, it must be nice." He frowned, irritated at my lack of reaction. "You've really given up, haven't you?" I tilted my head, forcing a small grin. "Or maybe I've learned it's better not to waste energy proving myself to people who've already made up their minds." His eyes narrowed, but he walked off, muttering, "Pathetic." Once alone, I slipped into my room and locked the door. My hands trembled, not from anger, but from the thrill of knowing what they could never imagine. I pulled out a small notebook, hidden beneath my mattress. "First step," I whispered to myself, flipping through the pages. Contacts, investments, timing. Earlier that day, I had secretly met an old classmate, Amir. He worked at a small electronics repair shop, scraping, by like most of us. Over a cup of cheap tea, I'd asked him questions. "Do you ever think about leaving this place?" I'd asked. Amir had shrugged. "All the time. But who has the money?" "What if I told you I'll have opportunities soon? Would you be interested in joining me?" He'd stared at me, puzzled. You barely survive as it is." I had only smiled. Exactly why I know what survival takes. Now, in the silence of my room, I scribbled his name into my notebook under the list labeled Potential Allies. The door creaked open suddenly. My father stood there, his eyes sharp. "What are you hiding?" I quickly closed the notebook and slid it under a stack of clothes. "Nothing, father. Just writing down thoughts." "Thoughts?" He snorted. "Stop wasting time. Dreams won't feed you." "You're right," I said softly. "Dreams won't feed me." "Then prove yourself. Do something real for once." "I will," I whispered. But he was already gone, shaking his head. Later that night, I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling. My heart pounded as I replayed every word exchanged at dinner. Their contempt had once crushed me, but now it was a cloak I wore willingly. The next morning, I offered to run errands for my mother. She eyed me skeptically. "Since when do you bother helping?" "I just want to be useful," I said, bowing my head. She handed me a list and money for groceries. As I stepped outside, the fresh air filled my lungs like freedom. I didn't head straight to the market. Instead, I detoured into the cramped alley where a second-hand bookstore stood. Inside, the owner looked up. "Back again?" "Yes," I said, placing coins on the counter. "Business books, investment strategies, anything useful." He chuckled. "Strange hobby for a boy with empty pockets." "Consider it preparation," I replied. As I walked away with a worn book tucked inside the grocery bag, I whispered to myself, "Every king starts as a pawn." By evening, when I returned, my brother peeked into the bag. "Groceries and books? Really?" He laughed. "You think reading will make you less pathetic?" I smiled. "Maybe it will." He rolled his eyes. "Keep dreaming." In my room, I opened the book under the dim light, scribbling notes feverishly. Each page felt like a step toward the empire I would one day build. That night, My father's voice thundered through the walls again. "You'll never amount to anything." I pressed my palm against the notebook, whispering, "That's what you think." "Another useless day," my cousin sneered as I counted coins in my palm. "Still playing businessman with pocket change?" He laughed. I smiled faintly. "Every empire starts small," he scoffed. "You? Empire? Don't make me choke." I didn't answer. I let him laugh. Later at the market, I approached an old shopkeeper. "Do you need someone to carry goods? Cheap rate?" He eyed me. "You willing to sweat?" "I'm willing to bleed if it pays," I said. He grunted. "Fine, unload those sacks." As I lifted, my arms burned, but my mind stayed sharp. I whispered to myself, "One coin saved is a weapon forged." When he handed me a few crumpled notes, I asked, "Do you sell the leftover grain you throw away?" He raised a brow. "Why? It's feed for birds." "I'll buy it." "Half price." He laughed. "Crazy kid. Fine, take it." That night, I resold it to a man raising chickens. He squinted. "Why so cheap?" "Because I know you'll come back." "Tomorrow," I said. He did. And the next day, too. My sister mocked me at dinner. "Look at him, dirty clothes, chasing scraps. You'll never change." I chewed quietly. "Maybe not, but scraps can feed armies." She rolled her eyes. "You sound like a fool." Inside, I grinned. Let her think that. Weeks passed. I saved every rupee. Instead of buying shoes, I bought shares in a dying textile mill. My uncle scoffed when he heard. "You invested in that sinking ship?" He barked. "Yes. You'll lose everything." I met his glare. "Or I'll own everything when it rises again." He slammed the table. "Arrogant brat." But when the market shifted, I doubled my money. Quietly, I pocketed the profit. At the tea stall, friends teased me. "Why not spend? You act like a miser." I stirred my cup slowly. "Spending fills your stomach. Investing builds your throne." They laughed. Big words for a beggar. I let them laugh. I started keeping a notebook, jotting down prices, trends, names. At night, I whispered to myself, "I know what comes next." They don't. One evening, I overheard traders discussing a new shipment of imported electronics. I leaned in. "Are these reliable?" One man snorted. "They'll sell fast. People are desperate for gadgets." I asked, "If I pay now, will you hold a few pieces for me?" He eyed me with suspicion. "You? Can you afford it?" I laid down. "My coins." "Count it. I don't joke with money." He smirked. "Fine, but don't cry if you lose." A week later, I sold those gadgets at triple price. My hands trembled as I held the cash. "So this is what power feels like," I whispered. Back home, my brother mocked. "Still running errands like a dog?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Dogs bite when the time comes." He threw a cushion at me. "Dream on." I dreamed, yes. But my dreams had teeth. Soon, whispers spread. "That boy, he always buys at the right time. He always sells before a crash." People asked me, "How do you know?" I smiled. "Luck." But inside I murmured, "It's not luck. It's memory." A neighbor approached me one morning. "You saved some money, right? There's land outside the city. Dirt cheap." My heart raced. I remembered what would happen there. New roads, factories, wealth. "How much?" I asked. He told me. It was nearly all I had. I thought of hunger, insults, cold nights. Then I said, "I'll take it." He blinked. "You sure? Everyone else thinks it's a wasteland." "Everyone else is blind," I replied. Signing that paper, I felt something shift inside me. Later, my father snorted when he heard. "You wasted money on barren dirt?" Hopeless. I bowed my head. "Yes, father," he sneered. "You'll always be nothing," I whispered inside. "No, I'm becoming everything." Months rolled by, my investments multiplied. Still, I dressed simply, ate little, spoke less. At a family gathering, my cousin mocked, "Show us your fortune then, great businessman. Or are you just bluffing?" I smiled. "One day, you'll see it yourself." They laughed, clinking glasses. I drank water in silence. At night, staring at my ledger, I said aloud, "This is only the beginning. My seeds are planted. My roots are growing. And when the tree rises, they'll have no choice but to bow beneath it." "I see you finally got yourself a car," my cousin Mark muttered as I pulled up to the gathering. "It's nothing special," I replied lightly, stepping out. "Just something to get me around." Daniel smirked from across the courtyard, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yeah, right. A used tin can isn't much of a victory." I smiled. "Better than walking, don't you think?" He chuckled, looking around for approval. "Walking at least keeps a man in shape. But hey, if wasting money makes you happy, keep at it." Uncle Thomas leaned forward. "How'd you afford it anyway? You never held a proper job." I took opportunities others ignored, I said simply. Daniel barked a laugh. "Opportunities? Please, you couldn't tell a real deal if it bit you. You just got lucky." Inside, I laughed with him, because I knew how wrong he was. Out loud, I stayed calm. "Luck has a strange way of favoring those who prepare." My aunt frowned. "Are you saying you're smarter than everyone here?" "No," I replied softly. "I'm saying I'm learning." Daniel clapped his hands mockingly. "Learning what? How to pretend you're successful? Everyone knows you're just stumbling around. A car doesn't change that." I tilted my head. "Maybe not, but stumbling forward is still progress." The relatives chuckled uneasily. I could feel their eyes darting between Daniel and me. "Progress?" Daniel scoffed. "You live in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by. Don't act like you're suddenly some businessman." I leaned against the car door, keeping my smile steady. "And yet, I'm not asking anyone here for help. That counts for something, doesn't it?" Uncle Thomas shook his head. "You talk big, but money is fleeting. Stability is what matters." "Agreed," I said firmly. "That's why I'm building it quietly." Daniel laughed again, his tone sharp. "Quietly? You mean secretly failing. Just wait. Everyone will see through your little act." I studied his face, memorizing the arrogance. If only he knew how much of his future rested on the companies I was already buying into. "Daniel," I said slowly, "why does my progress bother you so much?" His smile faltered for a second. "It doesn't. I just don't like liars." "I've lied about nothing," I said calmly. "I'm exactly what I appear to be, a man working on his own path." He sneered, "A path to nowhere." I let the silence stretch, then replied, "We'll see." The air grew tense. My mother finally spoke, her voice cautious. "Let's not fight. It's a family gathering." Daniel shrugged. "I'm not fighting, just pointing out the truth." I looked at her and gave a small nod. "It's fine. Words can't hurt me anymore." But inside, I felt the spark of victory. For once, I wasn't the one shrinking under insults. I was standing tall, and every word they threw at me bounced harmlessly away. Later that evening, I overheard whispers. "Did you see the apartment he's in now?" one relative murmured. "Maybe he's doing better than we thought," another replied. "Or maybe he's just lucky," someone else added. I walked past them, pretending not to notice, but their words burned like fuel in my chest. Back at home, my friend James called. "So, how'd the family dinner go?" I laughed softly. "The same as always, Daniel mocking me, everyone else watching, but this time I enjoyed it." "You enjoyed being mocked?" he asked, confused. "Yes," I said. "Because I know something they don't. I already own pieces of the future they'll depend on. Their laughter is just background noise now." James whistled. "That's cold." "It's clarity," I corrected. They think I'm nothing, but soon they'll see. For now, I'll let them believe the lie. What's next then? I expand, I answered. The profits are growing. Every step I take opens another door. Today it's a car, tomorrow it's influence. James chuckled. Man, you sound dangerous when you talk like that. I don't need to sound dangerous, I replied. I just need to be patient. The next day, Daniel sent me a message. Nice car. Hope it lasts longer than your dreams. I stared at the words, then typed back, don't worry. My dreams are built to outlast everything. I set the phone down, smiling to myself. For the first time, I wasn't the one bowing my head. I wasn't begging, apologizing, or hiding. I was moving forward, and they were the ones scrambling to understand. Their whispers had begun. Soon, whispers would turn into questions. And one day, those questions would turn into pleas. Until then, I would wear my calm smile, take their insults, and quietly build the empire they would never see coming until it was too late. This was only the first taste of victory, but it was enough to remind me of one truth. I would never be powerless again. I was at my desk when the first call came. The screen flashed my mother's name. My finger hovered over the decline button, but curiosity won. Hello? I said flatly. Her voice trembled. It's me. I need to talk. I leaned back in my chair. Strange. You usually avoid me unless it's to remind me of my failures. Please, she whispered. It's your father. His business things are not going well. I smiled bitterly, unseen. Not going well? That's an interesting way to say collapsing, she hesitated. We just need a little support, temporary. You've done well lately, haven't you? Maybe you could stop. My tone hardened. Do you remember the night you watched him throw me out? Do you remember turning your face away when I begged? Her silence was answer enough. I remember, I continued, my chest tightening. So tell me, why should I care now? I'm still your mother, she whispered. Only when it's convenient, I said, then ended the call. I stared at the ceiling, the old ache gnawing at me. I wasn't heartless, but letting them feel desperation was the only justice I had. 2 days later, Daniel cornered me outside a cafe. You think you're special now? He sneered. Just because you bought a car and an apartment? I sipped my coffee calmly. Special? No. Prepared? Yes. He leaned closer. Dad's company is under pressure, but we'll bounce back. Don't get too comfortable. I laughed softly. Bounce back. Tell me, Daniel, when your suppliers cut ties, when your debts pile higher than your pride, who will you run to? His jaw clenched. Not you. Then pray to the same luck you mocked me for having, I replied. He tried to grin, but I saw the fear flicker in his eyes. That night, I received another call, this time from an uncle who had once called me useless at a family dinner. Nephew, he began awkwardly. You've been doing well, haven't you? I smirked. Why the sudden interest? Well, your father, he's been struggling. We thought maybe you could advise him, or perhaps contribute. Contribute? I interrupted. The same way you all contributed when I was on the streets? That was different, he stammered. Different how? I snapped. Because I was powerless then? Because I had no voice? He sighed. We were wrong, all right? But he's still your father. I let the silence drag before answering. And I'm still his son, the one he despised. Let him remember that. I hung up before he could reply. The whispers grew louder. Relatives, who once laughed at my supposed failures, now called me with rehearsed concern. Some offered fake smiles when they saw me. Others begged behind closed doors. Each word was a dagger laced with irony. One evening, my mother showed up at my apartment. She looked smaller somehow, weighed down by shame. I had no choice but to come, she said quietly. You always had a choice, I replied. You chose him over me. Tears welled in her eyes. I was afraid. Do you think it was easy? Do you think I wanted to abandon you? Want? My voice cracked despite myself. You didn't want, but you did. You watched me break and said nothing. I regret it every day, she whispered. For a moment, the child in me wanted to hug her, to forgive her. But the man I had become couldn't allow weakness. Regret doesn't erase scars, I said coldly. Go back to your crumbling house. Stand beside the man you chose. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Don't. If you really regret it, then remember this feeling, the helplessness, the shame. That's what I carried all those years. She left without another word, and I collapsed into my chair, my chest heavy. The next week, Daniel called again. This time, his voice was desperate. We're drowning. Dad's creditors are threatening legal action. If you don't help, we'll lose everything. I chuckled darkly. And why is that my problem? Because we're family, he shouted. Family? I repeated slowly. Family doesn't throw you out. Family doesn't laugh while you starve. You're only family now because you're on the ground. Please, he said, his voice breaking. At least talk to him. For a moment I closed my eyes. The boy I once was screamed inside me, begging to forgive. But the man I had built whispered louder. Make them feel it. Make them understand. I'll think about it, I said finally, then ended the call. Alone, I stared at the city skyline. For the first time, the world looked different. The power wasn't just in money, it was in choice. And right now, the choice was mine. They had given me nothing but pain. Now I would return it. Not with fists, not with rage, but with silence, with denial, with the slow taste of their own medicine. My heart ached, but I didn't waver. This was the justice I had waited for, and it was only the beginning. I need you, Daniel whispered, his voice cracking. I stared at him. Strange words from you. Where's the arrogance? Where's the laugh you had when I was thrown out? His eyes filled. Please don't say that. I was stupid. I didn't know things would turn out this way. You didn't know? I leaned closer. You enjoyed watching me starve. You mocked every failure. And now you want me to save you? His shoulders shook. It's not just me. The company is collapsing. Dad is. He's not the man he used to be. Loans are crushing us. I can't fix it. And you expect me to? Yes, he said quickly. Because you can. Everyone knows you've been doing something. Your money, your success. Success? I cut him off. Do you know what that word cost me? Nights in the rain, hunger clawing my stomach. No roof, no bed, no family. And now you walk in here and ask me to forget it all? Daniel dropped to his knees. I'll do anything. Just don't let everything fall apart, please. I laughed, a bitter sound. You on your knees, that's new. I deserve it, he said, trembling. I mocked you. I was cruel. But if you let the business die, we all die with it. You should have thought about that before. His tears fell on the floor. I wanted to look away, but part of me savored it. The mighty Daniel, broken. Get up, I said coldly. Crawling doesn't suit you. He didn't move. Not until you agree. Then rot there. The door creaked open. My father stepped in. His voice, once thunderous, was frail. Enough, Daniel. Daniel wiped his eyes and stumbled up. My father faced me, his pride nowhere to be found. My son, he said softly. I froze at those words. My son. Words I had longed to hear. Don't, I whispered. You don't get to say that. He nodded slowly. You're right. I don't deserve to. But I am here, not as your father, not as the man who failed you, but as someone begging for mercy. You? I laughed sharply. You never bent your head to anyone. You were the king, weren't you? And I was the mistake. The shame. The burden. His lips trembled. I was blind. I thought strength meant cutting you off, forcing you to fend for yourself. I was wrong. Forgive me. Forgive? My voice rose. Do you know what forgiveness costs? Do you know how many nights I begged for scraps? How many times I wished for death? While you dined in luxury, I was nothing. His eyes watered, but he held his ground. I remember the night, the rain. You looked at me, waiting for me to call you back inside. I turned away. That memory haunts me. I clenched my fists. It should. I regret it every day, he whispered. I see your face every time I close my eyes. Then keep seeing it, I said. Let it burn. Daniel tried again. Please, brother, don't punish all of us. Save the business. Save the family. Family? I scoffed. You only remember that word when you're desperate. My father stepped forward. We are desperate, and only you can save us. Why should I asked. What do I gain by helping? You gain us back, he said. A family again. I shook my head. A family doesn't abandon their own. Silence stretched. I could hear their breathing, ragged and heavy. Say something, Daniel begged. I looked at him, then at my father. You want me to fix your mess? Fine. Tell me first, what was I to you when you left me outside that night? My father's voice cracked. A son I didn't understand. And to you, Daniel? Daniel's lips trembled. A brother I envied. I felt a strange ache inside. For a moment, I wanted to believe them, to reach out, to erase the years of pain. But then I remembered the rain, the hunger, the cold nights when I prayed for death. No, I whispered. Too late. Please, Daniel cried, grabbing my hand. I pulled it away. No begging can erase the past. My father's shoulders sagged. He whispered, Then we are finished. You chose this, I said. You chose pride over me. Now live with the ruin it brings. Daniel covered his face, sobbing. My father stood silent, his eyes hollow. I turned away, my chest tight. For the first time, I had power. For the first time, they were the ones begging. But forgiveness was too cheap. The wind brushed across my face as I stood on the rooftop of my skyscraper. The city glittered beneath me, alive with the hum of power I now controlled. My phone buzzed, but I already knew who it would be. Come down, Daniel's voice cracked. We need to talk. I smiled faintly. You'll come up. If you want to speak to me, you climb. Minutes later, the glass doors opened. Daniel entered first, his suit wrinkled, eyes swollen. Behind him, my father followed, his once commanding shoulders bent. My mother trailed last, wringing her hands. Say it, I said, my voice calm. You came here for something. Let's not waste time. Daniel stepped forward. Please, the business is gone. The debts are choking us. We can't keep the house. I know I mocked you. You laughed when I starved, I interrupted. You smiled when I was thrown, out in the rain. Do you remember? His lips trembled. I was wrong. I was stupid. I'll admit it. Anything you want. Just don't let us drown. My father finally raised his head. I misjudged you. I thought you were weak. But now, look at you. A skyscraper. $1 billion empire you proved. Me wrong. I turned to him slowly. And now, you want me to save you? Yes, he whispered. I am asking as your father. The words stung, but I kept my face steady. Father? The man who closed the door while I begged? Who let me freeze outside while my stomach ate itself? My mother's voice broke in. Enough! He knows he failed. We all failed. But you are our son. Please, just this once, help us! Her tears slid down, and for a moment, I almost faltered. But then I saw the smirk Daniel once wore, the silence of my father, the night my mother turned her face away. You want money? I asked. A bailout? To be rescued by the same man you left to die? Daniel dropped to his knees. Yes. Call me pathetic. Call me worthless, but I'm begging you. Please. The sight should have given me satisfaction, but all I felt was emptiness. I crouched slightly, meeting his eyes. Do you remember the night you raised your glass and toasted my failure? Do you remember the word you used? He nodded miserably. Trash. And now you kneel to the trash? Yes, he whispered. I straightened, letting silence stretch between us. My father finally lowered himself too, pride shattered. I cannot erase what I did, he said, voice low. But I can ask for forgiveness. If not for me, then for your mother. My mother clutched my arm. Please, we'll lose everything. I looked at her hand and gently pulled away. You already lost me. Her sob echoed, but I didn't bend. I turned to the city, my skyscraper towering above everything I once dreamed of. Do you see this? Every brick, every floor, every light, built from the nights you left me to rot. Built from hunger, betrayal, and loneliness. This empire is my answer. Daniel's voice cracked. Then take revenge. Ruin us like we ruined you. Just don't stand there and watch us die. I shook my head slowly. No, Daniel. Revenge would mean I still care. Forgiveness would mean I still need you. I feel neither. My father's shoulders sagged. So what will you give us? Nothing, I said simply. Silence swallowed the rooftop. The city roared beneath us, but here, only the weight of my words pressed down. Daniel slammed his fist on the floor. You can't mean that. You have billions. One signature could save us. One signature already did, I replied. Mine. When I signed the deals, when I built the empire, when I proved I was never what you thought, that signature wasn't for you, it was for me. My mother sobbed louder. We are family. No, I cut her off sharply. Family doesn't abandon. Family doesn't mock. Family doesn't turn their back when you're bleeding. Whatever we were died the night you chose pride over me, Daniel whispered, broken. So this is it? This is freedom, I said. They knelt there, once proud, once untouchable, reduced to shadows of themselves. For a moment, I wondered if I should feel pity, but all I felt was release. I stepped back toward the edge, letting the city's lights wash over me. You wanted me to bow. Now you bow. But I won't lift you. I won't crush you. I'll do the one thing you never gave me, silence. I turned and walked away, leaving them on their knees. The doors closed behind me with a soft click, shutting them out. For the first time, I felt untethered. I didn't need their tears, their apologies, their collapse. I didn't even need revenge. I had something greater, my life, my empire, my freedom. And for me, that was enough.